To be the best, you've got to beat the best, and that's exactly what Baby Blacephalon can do. Welcome back everyone to more from the Sableyes. My name's Mitch, and today we're going to be taking a look at the GX killer, the VMAX killer. It's Blacephalon, Baby Blacephalon with Fireball Circus. It's one of the only Pokemon in the standard format that can realistically take a knockout on a VMAX Pokemon. It's been taking lots of prizes on tag teams for a while, and now we're likely to see it doing 350 damage to take knockouts on things like Dragapult. So this could very easily be a deck that you might want to look into. It's not super expensive, there's not a huge amount of new cards in this one, but it is definitely worth a look. So, Baby Blacephalon here, obviously Fireball Circus, it's the same card as it always has been. Very, very strong and easy to get that damage to a very, very high number. Blazer is also a decent attack that you can use to potentially take out a take a knockout on a thing like a Jirachi, for example, but there is an element of luck involved. Take a look at the list here. This list is off of Twitter. Stephane Ivanoff was talking about this particular list, and I thought it looked really, really cool, so we figured we'd give it a bit of a feature here, and it's more interesting than just a traditional Baby Blacephalon list, which I'm very excited about. There's lots of cool cards and cool combinations that we can use thanks to some of the new cards from Rebel Clash, so definitely worth a look at. We've got 4 of those Baby Blacephalons, as I already mentioned, and 1 copy of Blacephalon-GX. Those there are only attackers in the deck. We're going to try and use these Pokemon to try and get as many knockouts as possible. Blacephalon-GX is a very, very good utility attacker that can use Mind Blown to potentially take a knockout, but mainly we're going to use it for Burst GX to guarantee us 1 prize. If we take a knockout on a 3 prize attacker, then we can take a knockout on something like a Dedenne, then we're simply 1 Pokemon away from winning the game. So Blacephalon-GX is very, very useful. The rest of the deck is designed around getting our hand as big as possible. Our main support Pokemon is going to be Jirachi with Stellar Wish. We've got a bunch of these cards in there. Stellar Wish is obviously very, very strong. 4 copies of Jirachi in this list. We also have 1 copy of Oranguru with Primate Wisdom, which is going to pair nicely with Mewtwo with Mind Report. This is a combination of cards that we're seeing quite a lot because Scoop Up Net allows you to use Mewtwo to get those supporters back in the hand, back on top of the deck, and then into the hand with Oranguru. So Scoop Up Net allows that combo to work. We also have a copy of Zacian V, which we can search out early to help draw cards, and we have a copy of Oricorio-GX to potentially draw cards once we've had some Pokemon knocked out. Those 2 cards we don't necessarily want to have on the bench the whole time. We don't want to give our opponent an opportunity to take knockouts on 2 prize Pokemon, but if we need them, we have the option to go and grab them. Now, we also have 2 other Pokemon on the list, 2 that you've probably not seen a huge amount of, and that is Jirachi Prism and Mr. Mime. We'll walk through the Jirachi first. Jirachi has this ability called Wish Upon a Star, and if you take this Pokemon as a face-down prize card during your turn and your bench isn't full, what you can do is you can take it into your hand, put it onto your bench, and then take 1 more prize. So what this means is, if you are able to draw Jirachi as a prize card, then you give yourself an extra prize for free. It's as simple as that, absolutely free. So 1 in 10 times, this Jirachi is going to be in the prizes just naturally. So you'll be able to pick it up and you'll get yourself an extra prize without even trying. But since we have Scoop Up Nets, and we've got Oranguru, we've got a whole bunch of other nifty little cards, what we can do is we can actually use this Mr. Mime, which is from the Detective Pikachu set of all sets, to use the ability Pantomime, which when we play this Pokemon onto the bench, what we can do is we can put the card that is on the top of our deck into a prize, and we can replace that prize card on the top of the deck. So what we'll do is we'll take the Jirachi off the top, we take a prize card, put the prize card on the top of the deck, put the Jirachi down in the prizes. We can guarantee that that Jirachi Prism is in the prizes, and we also know exactly where that prize is, because technically we shouldn't know what the top card of the deck is, so we can just replace it. We know exactly what that card is anytime in the game, pick that prize up, we can get ourselves another prize along the way. Now, it does require a little bit of work. You're going to require Jirachi Prism, Mr. Mime, and an Oranguru in play, but if you are able to do that and you're able to free up a bench space, then Jirachi Prism is a really, really good way to take that extra prize, and it means that sometimes you're able to take 4 prizes when you would have only been able to take 3. Maybe you can finish the game knocking out something like a Dedenne instead of having to go all the way up to 350 or 300 damage to take a knockout. It's a really, really cool idea, and I think that if you can get it to work, it'll swing games. You won't do it every game, but you'll definitely be able to win the ones that you do use it in. The rest of the deck is essentially just a simple Baby Blacephalon list. We've got a lot of energy search and recursion in this list. 4 Fiery Flint to discard 2 cards and search our deck for up to 4 fire energy. That's going to fill our hands up with energy. We need a lot in our hand to make use of our Fireball Circus attack, and then once it's been discarded, we need to get it back from the discard. So we've got 4 copies of Fire Crystal to bring 3 fire energy back into our hand, and 2 copies of Energy Retrieval for that extra little kind of retrieval option. It means that you're probably never going to have any problems getting energy into your hand. The big problem is going to be finding attackers and finding your supporter to charge them up. Now, attackers we can find with Quick Ball. We have 4 Quick Ball in this list, and that is all when it comes to Pokemon search. So we're a little light on for it, but when we get them, we utilize them very, very well. And we also have 1 copy of Ordinary Rod, so worst case scenario, our Blacephalons have been knocked out, we can just shuffle them back into the deck, as well as a couple of extra energy to keep ourselves going. Means that we can potentially play a game against a 1 prize attacking deck, although obviously we're going to be in a little bit of trouble if we do come up against them. It's better against those multi-prize decks. And we've already mentioned 4 copies of Super Scoop Up. It's a very, very powerful card in every deck that we've tested it in so far, but this one, it is particularly useful. It's got synergy with Jirachi, with Mr. Mime, with Oranguru. You can use that ability multiple times if everything works out for you. You can use it with Mewtwo. You can pick up even a Baby Blacephalon if you don't want to have it in the active to move something else up there. So Scoop Up Net, very, very useful card. We have 1 copy of Great Catcher in the list, and this is really our only method of Gust. We don't play the new boss's orders. It's not a big deal for us. We just want to use Great Catcher to try and bring out 1 GX if possible. We're pretty happy to just take the knockouts that are in the active, because with that Jirachi Prism, we could potentially take 2 prizes on a 1 prize Pokemon. So it's not the end of the world if we have to, but obviously when we need those GX prizes, we're going to try and get them with Great Catcher. And we also have a couple of other cards to go along with our Jirachi engine. You've seen them all before. 3 copies of Switch and 2 copies of Escape Board. These cards are synonymous with Jirachi, and you'll see them in these decks until Jirachi disappears. Well, Escape Board's going to go first, but you know what I mean. We're probably going to see these ones forever. When it comes to stadiums, we've got 2. We have Heat Factory, which is very useful to help you draw extra cards. This deck can potentially draw 9 cards per turn with things like Oricorio, Heat Factory, Welder, even Zacian V if you get an opportunity to use that. So there's a lot of draw power here. Heat Factory is a really, really good way of trying to get those extra cards. And if we don't want to use Quick Ball to search for our Baby Blacephalons, we can also use 1 copy of Ultra Space to try and search those out as well. If it sticks for more than a turn, it's infinitely more useful than any other Pokemon search card that we have. So Ultra Space is a very good inclusion here. I've spoken about Welder. We need this to get our powered attacker going. 3 fire energy is easy enough to do with Welder, but you do need to have 1 in your hand, so we're going to need to use those Jirachis to try and find them. If you're getting into Welder pretty much every turn, you should be okay, and once you've discarded 1, Mewtwo can bring it back anyway, so it shouldn't be too much of an issue for you to get those attackers cycling. And we have 14 copies of Fire Energy. We want as many as we can without going over the top so that we can take big knockouts. We're looking for 7 energy in hand plus 3 on a Pokemon. That's 10 of 14 energy in the deck. So we need to make sure that we've got access to all those energy at all times to be able to do that big 350 damage required for knocking out a VMAX like Dragapult VMAX. So that is the list. Thank you very much to Stephane for posting this one on Twitter. He said that he had a lot of fun with it in his tweets, so I'm looking forward to testing it out myself. We will see how Fireball Circus goes up against something. We'll see how it goes. Alright, gameplay here, and we've got ourselves a very interesting matchup. This one is going to be obviously Baby Blacephalon up against the hype new VMAX deck of the format. It is Dragapult VMAX, so we will see whether or not we can get ourselves a good game here. We've got Jirachi in the active and Oranguru to start. Not a great hand, but we do potentially have the option to find, well, I was going to say a quick ball, but alas, it was not to be. We'll play down the Oranguru just in case something horrible happens. We maybe could find something here. We'll put the Welder on top in case of a Mani, but a Fire Energy off the top. This is not a great start, and sometimes this does happen when you're playing Welder decks. Having a lot of less useful cards in your hand early doors can be quite painful. We had obviously 2 Welders, which is great, but when you don't have an attacker, it can become very, very difficult. Our opponent on the other side also starting with Jirachi. They've got a quick ball here, so they are not in the position that we're in. And there is the Dragapult V. And they're discarding energy as well, which means they've probably got multiple in their hand. So we're likely to see that attachment. There it is. They're in a really, really strong spot here. Dragapult V and VMAX obviously relies on manual attachments at the moment. People are favouring that over a more energy acceleration Malamar build, so it is relatively difficult for them to power up an attacker, but since we've got nothing going on, it's going to be a little bit awkward for us. Scoop Up Net coming down here. They're going to pick up their Jirachi from the active and send the second one up. Now Stellar Wish. Hopefully they find a supporter here so that they can continue their turn. They've got a Mysterious Treasure, which is pretty good. We know, of course, they already have a Jirachi in hand, so that is also good. Even if they don't have a supporter, they could potentially just hang on to this hand and try and find one next turn. They've got the Mysterious Treasure, so maybe they could use that to find the VMAX. Although it looks like we're going one more time. We've got another switch here, so we'll see a third Stellar Wish this turn. They've utilised a lot of their kind of pickup cards here. They're picking up Scoop Up Net again, so you never know, we might see another one. Although, yes, they are using it, so scooping up probably the active Jirachi, although they won't be able to use the Jirachi that is on the bench, because that one has obviously already been used. Mysterious Treasure is going to get another Dragapult V here, and you'd think that unless this card in their hand is a supporter, there's pretty much nothing else that they could realistically do. It is a research. Wow, okay, so using all of those cards was realistically their way of just thinning them out. They were going to discard them anyway, may as well do that, and they've managed to find themselves a second Dragapult for their trouble. Now, we are really desperate to find a Pokemon here, and we haven't managed to do it. We've got Fiery Flint, so I guess we could discard a couple of Fire Energy here. We'll hope for the Primate Wisdom. Hopefully we can put a Welder on top and find another one, but no. Another Fire Energy. We might just need to Welder here to try and find something. We'll put an energy on Oranguru. We still haven't got a Blacephalon, which is really frustrating. We've got the Fiery Flint and the Fire Crystal for next turn though, so we should be okay, and some switches. If our opponent does knock us out, which you'd say it's pretty likely that they'll be able to do that, then we've at least got the switch to move into the active, but we are going to be relying on the Oricorio cards to try and find us a Baby Blacephalon. We've managed to go 2 turns here without really achieving anything. And our opponent, on the other hand, has pretty much everything that they need. They've got a second energy on Dragapult VMAX. They've just scooped up their Jirachi. They're about to take a knockout on our Oranguru, so that's not very nice of them. And they'll also put 5 damage counters on this Jirachi, so we are in big trouble here. We really need to find something this turn. At least we've got the Jirachi that we can use, and of course we pick up another Fire Energy, so let's use Dance of Tribute here. We'll draw a few more cards. We've got a couple of Pokemon, so at least we're not going to lose immediately. We've got another Welder. Great, thank you very much, game. This is very enjoyable. We'll go into a Jirachi on the bench now. We'll see if we can get there. Can we find a quick ball? We finally get one. Alright, so even after all that, we're actually in a really good position here, because I don't know if you've noticed, but we've got a ton of energy in hand. We've got 2 Welders, we've got a Mewtwo, and we've got Energy Recursion and Search. So even though we've had a really, really rough start, we're actually in a great position here to take a knockout on this active Dragapult. Now, we can attach this energy here. We'll have 2 in hand. There's 2 in the discard. So what we can do is we can Fiery Flint. We'll probably get rid of the Blacephalon-GX. We're not really desperate for it. We'll get rid of another Fire. Pick out 4 from the deck. And then we'll be able to use Fire Crystal to find the last energy that we need to get an attack here. Now, the question is, do we scoop up now or do we switch? I think we just switch. It's not realistically going to make that big of a deal, although, to be fair, if we wanted to next turn with a switch, we would have been able to switch back into Jirachi without losing our energy, but that's okay because we've got Welder and Fiery Flint in the hand already, so that seems pretty good, and we've got 7 energy to discard. We'll just count them up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's 350 damage. We'll take 20 from the horror energy, but as quickly as that, we have gone from a really bad position to a really positive one, and we've managed to find another Baby Blacephalon off of the prizes as well, so that's pretty solid. Our opponent now going from a really strong spot to a really, really weak one, so not super great for them, but definitely good for us. We've got the Dragapult VMAX in the active position now, another research, and a couple of Pokemon on the bench, so they're setting themselves up, but this is where those manual attachment Dragapult VMAX decks kind of fall down a little bit, is the fact that if things don't go well, then your opponent can realistically take a massive advantage out of that, and, you know, it's one of those things. If we hadn't managed to find that quick ball, they would have been in a dominant position when it would have gone on to win the game. They tried to get a little bit greedy, bringing up the Oranguru to take that knockout, and instead now they've found themselves behind. So it's a bit awkward, but it's not the end of the world, although I will say we are 7 energy away at the moment from being able to win the game, or 10 energy really. We need to find 3 to attach to a Blacephalon. Actually, no, we don't. He's only got 1 energy. What am I talking about? Of course, we're 7 energy away, and we've got Fiery Flint and Fire Crystal. So, I mean, I think we've got enough. I can't remember if there's enough in the deck. What I'll do is I'll play down this Baby Blacephalon here. Worst case scenario, I can scoop up and then escape board into a fresh one. Let's just double check though. Do we have enough energy in deck? I think we do. There's 3. Beautiful. So we've got 3 energy in the deck. We've got 3 from the Fiery Crystal. The 1 in our hand will make 7. And that's how quickly the tables can turn. Baby Blacephalon is capable of putting out massive, massive damage. And as silly as it sounds, I actually think we would have been able to get there even if that Baby Blacephalon had been knocked out that turn. So very strong against these VMAX decks, definitely worth taking a look at. So I know a lot of people aren't super hyped on Baby Blacephalon right now because there's not a huge amount of Rebel Clash cards in there, but you don't need to have Rebel Clash cards to be successful in the Rebel Clash format. This deck is the type of deck that you can pick up by just getting yourself a couple of scoop ups, and you'll be able to compete with even those really expensive Dragapult VMAX decks that are hanging around on the ladder right now. So if you're playing on a budget and you've got cards from old sets, this could be the deck for you. Thank you very much to everyone for coming along. I hope you've enjoyed. If you have, consider subscribing. Click the button that's just here to do that. Over on this side are a couple of videos that YouTube thinks that you'll like, and down the bottom we have our playlist for more cards and decks from Rebel Clash. Thank you very much everyone for coming along. We hope you've enjoyed, and we really appreciate your company. We'll see you all next time for more from the Sable Eyes. Bye.